Anti-Semitism is not just hatred, it is intellectual surrender.
He's not Jewish, he's young, and he's out there doing gangbusters on the internet defending Israel.
That day changed everything for me fundamentally. It changed the way that I saw the world, the way I saw good and evil, truth and propaganda.
All right, folks, Yishai Fleischer here, broadcasting from Judea. What is the root of anti-Semitism? Where does it come from? Is it anti-Semitism when you criticize Israel? Good question. And today we're going to feature a young man who's answering this question and others. He's doing an amazing job. He's not Jewish. He's young. His name is Jacob Smith. His handle is The Moderate Case. The Moderate Case, a great handle. And he's out there doing gangbusters on the internet defending Israel. Let's take a look at his logic about anti-Semitism.
You want to know why I keep talking about Jews? Why I keep talking about Israel? The reason is because there is a hyperfixation on the Jewish people unlike anything else in modern history, and unlike anything that would ever be tolerated towards any other group of people. It doesn't matter what Jewish people do. If they're too successful, they're accused of controlling the world. If they struggle, they're mocked, demonized, and blamed for their own persecution. If they have no homeland, they're told they don't belong anywhere. When they finally have their own homeland and state, they're told that they stole it and that they must give it back and that it's illegitimate. They're hated for being too rich. Historically, they have been hated for being too poor. People say they look too white. Historically, they've been called too dark, too ethnic. Before the state of Israel existed, Jews were slaughtered for not having a country. Now they are demonized for having one. This isn't about policy disagreement. Policy disagreement or any disagreement with the state of Israel or its government is not anti-Semitism. In fact, most disagreement and criticism of Israeli policy comes from the Jewish people themselves. This is about a consistent historical pattern of hatred that adapts to whatever Jews do. But where the hypocrisy is undeniable is here, because if somebody said black people secretly run the banks, Asians are plotting behind the scenes to control Hollywood, or Hispanics are engineering wars to manipulate world affairs and take over the world, everyone would instantly label that as racist, xenophobic, hateful, and morally deranged. Yet when the same architecture of accusation is directed towards Jews, people say, well, let's hear them out. There might be some seriousness or truth to this. And this isn't rational skepticism. This is philosophical decay. It's the rejection of objective truth replaced with myth and conspiracy. It is the transformation of envy and jealousy into some type of moral justification for hatred. It is a psychological crutch used by individuals who literally cannot accept agency over their own failures, so it must be somebody else's fault. Anti-Semitism allows a person to say, it's not my fault, it's their fault. My problems were designed by them. My failures are not mine. They are part of a larger conspiracy, and it's all the Jewish people's fault. This is the oldest form of human self-deception called scapegoating. And that's what anti-Semitism is at its core. It's the desperate attempt to escape responsibility by inventing a superhuman enemy. Anti-Semitism is not just hatred. It is intellectual surrender. People are giving up their minds and abandoning logic or critical thinking for conspiracy, abandoning moral judgment for tribal rage. It is, in the truest sense, brain rot. Anti-Semitism is the only form of hate where the more successful the target is, the more the hatred intensifies. You see, it doesn't matter what the truth is. The hatred's always there, and it's not a reactionary emotion. It is a pre-existing conclusion that these people have where they will continue searching for an excuse. History has shown us what happens when people refuse to call evil by its name. And let me make this promise to all of you watching. As long as anti-Semitism lives, so will my voice against it.
Well, good news for you is that your voice is going to still have relevancy for a long time because anti-Semitism is going to exist because of what you said, jealousy, looking for scapegoating, escapism, and there's other even deeper reasons, jealousy of the religion, jealousy, a kind of replacement theology. That's part of anti-Semitism. A loathing of God secretly. There's many reasons to hate the Jews. And so you don't have to worry that's going to keep going. But I believe, Jacob, that when Israel is strong, then there's less anti-Semitism. And you could see that in the book of Esther. When the Jewish people are fighting back their bad guys, a lot of people are like, wow, God is with these guys. These guys are strong. I got to be with them. So personally, I think that anti-Semitism also rises when Israel feels and looks weak. And so therefore, it's absolutely imperative for Israel to be strong. Here is Jacob Smith on Israel indeed being strong.
I don't know of genocide that produces population booms. The only reason Gaza is in ruins because Hamas uses the entirety of Gaza as a human shield. They embed weapons, tunnels, and command centers under civilian areas, under schools, mosques, and hospitals, as confirmed by tons of intelligence. That isn't resistance, that isn't freedom fighting, that isn't liberation, it's simply the deliberate human sacrifice for propaganda, and unfortunately it has worked. When Israel withdraws, either from Gaza or it reduces checkpoints in the West Bank, more terrorism comes from that. When
Israel's weak, there is more terrorism. That's simple. It's simple. Israel needs to be strong against terrorists. It needs to subdue any populations that have the heart of jihadism in their heart.
Reduced presence in the West Bank and reduced checkpoints, we saw more terror attacks. When Israel withdrew completely from Gaza in 2005, within 2 years, Hamas staged a coup, they executed rivals, and they began firing rockets at civilian areas in Israel, and by the way, Hamas was elected. They won the plurality.
Okay, so the lesson there is, Jacob, that Israel should never give up land and should never give refuge to the enemies of Israel. We got to keep attacking. We got to push them back and not make stupid mistakes like giving away our land, because this is what happens.
People who call Gaza occupied forget that during this time, there were 0 Israeli troops inside when Hamas took power, and also Gaza and the West Bank have historically always been occupied. Whether that was Egypt occupying Gaza, where they didn't really treat those people too well, or whether it was Jordan who occupied the West Bank and actually annexed it. So Egypt and Jordan had control of Gaza and the West Bank, and neither of them pushed to create a Palestinian state because it wasn't in their interest. The PLO Charter of 64 says that they don't exert jurisdiction or control over Gaza or the West Bank. Because
the PLO was founded, as he says, in 64. He means 1964. And this is 3 years before the so-called occupation began, Jewish President's liberation of Judea and Samaria. So the PLO is dedicated to the destruction of Israel. The logic here is clear. Don't give away the land. Don't pull back on your defenses, because the minute you pull back on roadblocks and a strong army present in these places, especially when you've allowed the jihad to stay there, well, that's going to mean trouble in the end.
Because they never wanted to make a Palestinian state. The Arab world started the 1948 war, not Israel, and they lost. We saw 5 Arab armies invade hours after Israel declared independence with the stated goal of driving Jews into the sea. That is a quote. The resulting refugee crisis, which is referred to as the Nakba, was a direct and mixed result of that invasion, that war that was started by the Arabs, which they lost, not solely Israeli settlers driving people out or the creation of the Jewish state. The real ethnic cleansing in the Middle East was against Jews, not Arabs. We saw 850,000 Jews expelled between 1948 and 1951, either expelled again or fleeing from Arab countries where they were stripped of their property, their rights, and all of their citizenship, while Arab refugees from Israel were left stateless by Arab leaders who actually refused to resettle them. If free Palestine...
Okay, so wait, this is an important thing. 850,000 Jews were evicted from Arab countries after the birth of Israel. And if you speak to old timers, they'll say to you that the Arabs were yelling, Ruhu al-Quds, go to Jerusalem, and meaning to say, okay, you have a Jerusalem, now leave our countries and go to your Jerusalem. And now that we're in Jerusalem, they're saying, no, this is our land. And the eviction and the wholesale destruction of life in Arab countries like Morocco, like Yemen, like Egypt, like Iraq, like Syria. That is an incredible story of human suffering, eviction, destruction of an ancient life. Some of these countries Jews have been living in for 2,000 years, and it was just destroyed after the rebirth of the state of Israel, with the state of goal of ethnically cleansing Jews from Arab countries, so that they can go to it, so they just leave our country and go to your homeland, go to your place. And then once we're here, to attack us again. It's well known that Hajj Amin al-Husseini, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem during the 1929 riots, he joined up with Hitler and suggested that they would create death camps for Jews in the land of Israel. And that's what he set out to do. And it was basically because Rommel was stopped in North Africa at El Alamein that these camps were never built to destroy the Jewish people that lived in the land of Israel. So it's important to know that the Jews were evicted, Jews were expelled from Arab countries when Israel was born, and with the stated understanding that they're going to go to their homeland, and then at the very same time to try to destroy us here. So really, the Arab world went into a jihadist mindset and tried to destroy Israel at its when it was born. And this is an important thing to say. And young Jacob Smith here does a great job of explaining it. Maybe it's a little quick because there's a lot to talk about and break down here about that eviction of Jews from Arab countries.
Meant statehood, there would have been one in 1947. The UN partition plan offered Palestinians 45% of the land and international status for Jerusalem. The Jewish leadership accepted, the Arab leadership rejected, and again declared war. And a lot of
Okay, so here, this is a classic refrain. The Arabs reneged on taking part of this land and creating a Palestine on it. On the one hand, the stupidity here is from the state of Israel and the UN and all those that tried to split up the land of Israel and create a Palestine. And you can understand Arab nationalists / jihadists who didn't want even a small part to be Jewish. They thought they could totally destroy us. Today, they're still faking the talk about a two-state solution, but you know that the stated goal is actually to destroy Israel. So, I don't use the argument of we tried to give our land away because I think it makes us look stupid. And we should have never tried to give away our land. But in terms of, that Palestine was given a chance, sadly it was, but they rejected that as well.
of people will say, well, it was unfair. The Jews got more land. Well, most of it was the Negev desert, uninhabited.
Well, Jews got more land. Jews got a tiny slice of the Middle East. You have to understand that there is an Arab ummah, there's an Arab nation, and it lives in 23 countries in the Middle East, and a huge Arab and huger Muslim landmass. Israel is the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. It's our indigenous land as well. It's given to us by God, recognized by international law. But the Palestinianism has been trying to destroy us since the 20s, not since 47. And we're still fighting that fight today. Sadly, our own country has given away parts of the land of Israel, thereby buttressing the argument that they have a claim. If we never even talk about it, like the Lubavitcher Rebbe used to say, don't even talk about it. Because if you talk about it, that endangers Israel. Don't talk about giving away our land. That emboldens the enemy.
Nobody lived there. The land wasn't fertile. It wasn't like Jews were taking the majority of the land that could be housed, where they could actually live. There was no Palestinian sovereignty, so you don't get to reject a so-called state that you have, which is not a state, and then 75 years later claim that it was stolen from you when you had the opportunity in the first place to accept it, and historically you have continued to reject every opportunity for a state of your own.
Okay, because they're not about making a state of their own. They're about destroying Israel. That's what it's really about. That's really what it's about. It's really about fighting against Israel, and it's about trying to destroy the Jewish state. And Palestine is just an excuse, and it has got many different forms. Give us a half. Give us this. Give us you. Don't give us anything. We're going to destroy the Jews. Okay, now just give us half. Give us Gaza. Look what happens. Okay, we know what it's about. You have to be really close-minded, dumb, or an anti-Semite to not see what the jihad is really about, what Palestine's really about. All right, last video from young Jacob Smith, a non-Jew, pro-Israel young guy out there making videos, doing gangbusters, especially on Facebook.
For the past 2 years, I've dedicated a lot of my time, effort, and energy into standing up for the nation of Israel to justify its historical creation, its modern existence, and its conduct in this war, and to fight back against so many of the lies and myths that are constantly spread about the Jewish people. And for all those who don't know completely my story, I didn't talk about Israel before October 7th. That day changed everything for me fundamentally. It changed the way that I saw the world, the way I saw good and evil, truth and propaganda, and it made me realize how few people were actually standing up for the truth when it came to the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. When I started speaking out, I was met with a lot of hate, a lot of misinformation that I knew was wrong, and I knew the history, so I dove more into it, I studied more of it, I learned more of it, and I spoke, not necessarily because it was easy or because it was my passion, but because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I'm not Israeli, I'm not Jewish, I'm an American, Christian. I love American politics, I love history, and I just happened to be in a position where I knew the history of this conflict to the point where I could use my voice to stand against the flood of lies that were being spread about Israel and the Jewish people. And now
I just want to say that that's amazing. Jacob Smith, hats off to you. And what he's saying in this last segment, which is so important for all of us, is if you know the history, you're in much better shape to fight. You really have to know the history. Now, I a lot of times tell people that it's not just about facts and figures, it's about posture. But the facts help you understand what really transpired, if the Jewish people have rights or not. Can you easily say the 5 loci of Jewish rights? It's important to be able to say that, which is purchase rights, war rights, indigenous rights, religious rights, and beautification rights. There are rights where Jewish people can claim legally and historically and biblically to have the right to this land, and those rights are a battle against those assertion of those rights is a battle against Palestine, which is a replacement theology, a replacement narrative, a replacement effort both on the ground and in narrative war as well, to destroy Israel and to do what I call national identity theft. We won't let them, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank pro-Israel folks around the world fighting for truth. Jacob Smith, you're doing a great job. We're trying to do a great job here on our team as well at Yishai Fleischer TV. We do appreciate so much your support. You can visit us at Yishai Fleischer TV. Comment, become a member. Check out our web store. And there's a lot to do there at Yishai Fleischer TV, a lot to see. You could also join the fight, fightforisrael.org, fightforisrael.org, where we beautify the land, where we buy tractors for farmers, where we renovate holy places. If you love what we do here in the broadcasting, you can support us easily. Buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Buymeacoffee.com. Yum! /Yishai. God bless you folks wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected, stay part of the story. We're going to keep fighting for the truth, for God's truth, for Israel's truth, for a light unto the world, against dark forces. This is the land of blessings. So from here, we send you blessings to wherever you are, and shalom.